Today on the CTV News at 5, more hail hammers southern Alberta. Plus, Lethbridge residents line up for flood relief. And
1, 2, 3.
a look at the dragons that took over Henderson Lake.
CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. Another day and more severe weather for southern Alberta. The hail came down fast and furious this afternoon in Lethbridge, with winds gusting up to 100 kilometers per hour just outside the city. This was the CTV Lethbridge parking lot less than an hour ago. More hail again today after a damaging storm rocked the city this weekend. Most of southern Alberta has been under a severe thunderstorm watch or warning at some point over the last few days. Keaton Gerbervac has more on this weekend's damage from the hailstorm.
I was crying instantly as I watched my poor baby get dinged like crazy.
As Barb McCoy surveys the damage to her home and vehicle, she relives the feeling of helplessness she felt as hail, some the size of golf balls, pelted her neighborhood. McCoy says it's a miracle the windows on her house didn't shatter.
Down to the back of our house, and we could watch our windows literally moving, waiting any second for those windows just to come crashing in.
As the storm approached Lethbridge, it gained strength, colliding with a warm front that triggered the large, damaging hail. The powerful thunderstorm only lasted 25 minutes, but there was extensive damage to siding, vehicles, and windows in its path as it continued to the southeast and away from the city. This golf ball-sized hail is what fell on the west side over the weekend. Residents could only watch in disbelief as their vehicles and homes were pelted by it. The storm only took minutes, but the damage is substantial. Paradise Canyon Golf Resort was in the path of the storm. These pictures show how hard the course was hit. As you can see, the damage was extensive. Manager Matt Barkway says they've managed to get the greens back in decent shape, considering what it was like Saturday evening.
Got them rolled a few times, punched, rolled again, and they actually roll pretty decently considering everything. Obviously, they're still a little bit beat up, but it's a far cry from what it looked like a couple days ago.
For many of the homeowners, fixing the damage won't be quite so easy. McCoy says both her new vehicles will most likely be written off, and the house will also require some work. Talking
to our contractor, sounds like the entire side of this house is going to have to be redone. Both of our new vehicles are probably a write-off. If not, it's thousands of dollars worth of damage on them. At the end of the day, at least nobody was hurt. But
Keaton Gerbervac, CTV News, Lethbridge.
And there could be some bad news for the Tabor corn crop as well. This weekend's hailstorm caused significant damage to southern Alberta corn crops. And just as Lethbridge residents are trying to figure out how much hail damage there is to their homes and vehicles, a flood registration center opened today in the city. Alberta Emergency Management Agency has opened a disaster recovery reception center in Lethbridge to consider flood claims that aren't covered by insurance. Terry Vogt reports.
They came bearing documents, photographs, and heartbreaking stories of damage and loss.
We've lost cattle, all our fences were toast. We've probably got about 10 kilometers of fence that is totally wiped out.
David and Brenda Serval live downstream from the Old Man River Dam, receiving extensive flood damage when a decision was made to open the spillway to take pressure off the dam, which was filling quickly with heavy rain and mountain runoff. The Servals are hoping they'll get some compensation, but still wonder why the dam was so full at the peak of spring runoff with more rain in the forecast.
I'm just upset with inadequate management of the dam. They could have let water out sooner.
There was no warning phone calls. Nobody really knew that the water was going to go that high that fast.
A lack of communication is another concern being expressed by some flood victims. Trevor Ailman was growing a high-value crop of certified organic potatoes and onions.
And the potatoes were either washed downstream or covered in sand subsequently as the flood came through. And so none of that crop is harvestable.
Even living on higher ground didn't guarantee immunity from the storm. Charlene Wittig farms near Monarch, where large trees were uprooted or snapped like twigs.
The trees were just whipping like a blender, and we had 5.5 inches of rain in an hour.
The downpour flooded their field and leaves them wondering how they'll fare this winter.
Well, I hope we'll get somewhat subsidized for the flooding and stuff, as we have to feed cattle in the fall.
This registration center is open for anyone who is affected by the flood, including residents of High River who are now staying temporarily in Lethbridge. Another registration center will be opened in Medicine Hat Thursday, and government officials say more opportunities will be made available in the coming weeks and months. Terry Vogt, CTV News, Lethbridge.
The Lethbridge Centre is located in the County of Lethbridge Administration Building at 905 4th Avenue South. It'll be open until 8 o'clock tonight and then again from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. tomorrow. The registration centre for the Crow's Nest Pass will be set up in the Blairmore Elks Hall Friday and Saturday. Applicants should bring a government-issued ID, and it would also be helpful to bring a 2013 property assessment as well as a letter from your insurance company. It's not the way they wanted to spend their first summer in their new home, but one Medicine Hat couple who was evacuated has been left with a huge mess and possibly no one to help clean it up. Jeanette Roche has this report.
Well, this much sewage everywhere. So everything got covered. All her pots and pans are all full of sewage.
Brittany Meyer and her boyfriend Cody Weiss inspect the damage to their Medicine Hat home. Meyer has lived in this house since she was 5 years old, then purchased it from her grandparents. The couple had just put $20,000 worth of renovations in before moving in just a few weeks ago. Then this happened.
I lost it. I just started crying. It's like, that's not fixable, you know.
You can see the entire neighborhood was under about 2 feet of water, leaving their basement submerged in 8 feet of sewage.
This is the line from where the sewage filled up. So where I'm standing right now, I would be completely under the sewage.
Now their basement is full of sludge, and the rest of the house is slowly deteriorating because sewage has been seeping through the drywall.
Basement's completely done. All the walls have caved in, the ceilings fell in, everything. Upstairs, there was about, 8 inches of sewage in the entire upstairs.
The house is now behind a gate and yellow police line. They haven't been allowed in to even begin cleaning. When we move past the police barricade into the backyard here, it's where we see the extent of the damage. This 4-foot sinkhole, which looks like a meteor, landed in their backyard. It caused the concrete to collapse, and even their gas meter ended up in their basement. Meyer and Weiss aren't getting any love from their insurance company because they aren't covered for flood damage. Meanwhile, they're being told the city won't allow them to rebuild on a lot this size.
Well, if we have to tear this down, who's going to cover that? Is anyone going to cover that? Are we on our own? Where do we go from here?
Their only answer might come from the province, which has put aside $1 billion for flood recovery victims.
It's to try to help people get back to where they were pre-flood. So that's the goal of the program. So we're not there to create, something brand new.
But until help arrives, the couple is stuck couch surfing with friends and staying at hotels and continually looking for answers.
We're just in limbo. It's the worst feeling ever.
Jeanette Roche, CTV News, Medicine Hat.
Okay, Dory, we've talked hail, we've talked floods. Let's talk some sun.
Yeah, there is sunshine on the way, believe it or not. You wouldn't know it looking out your door or window right now, but we are expecting an area of high pressure that's already pushing this system to the northeast. Even as we speak, that area of high pressure is going to slide into southern Alberta. We've actually got some nice drying days coming up. I'll tell you all about it in a couple of minutes.
Thank you, Dory. One person is dead after a head-on crash on the Blood Reserve. A 38-year-old woman was killed and 2 others taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries in the crash Saturday night on the Blood Reserve. It happened at the intersection of Highways 2 and 505. While the woman's name hasn't been released, police say the deceased is from a nearby community. Alcohol is not believed to be a factor. Charges are not expected to be laid. And the body of a Jaffrey, BC man has been recovered from the Bull River near Cranbrook. 20-year-old Zeke Fantuz went missing on June 24th. Police believe his vehicle went off a dirt road and then down an embankment into the fast-flowing water on Saturday. The vehicle was spotted by a family member who contacted RCMP on Sunday. The Cranbrook RCMP and Special Swift Water and Rope Rescue teams with rescue and search and rescue towed the vehicle closer to shore, allowing them to retrieve the body. A memorial was held for Zeke on Saturday in Jaffrey. Meanwhile, a 26-year-old Cardston woman has been charged with impaired driving after a 4-year-old girl was hit by a vehicle in Lethbridge. It happened Sunday night in a parking lot on 5th Avenue North. The child suffered minor injuries. Felicia Daniel Redcrow has been charged. 2 men, one from Lethbridge and another from Taber, are both facing charges after police say a house in Taber was deliberately set on fire after a break-in. It happened early Friday. Taber police say a home on 45th Avenue was broken into, extensively damaged, and then set on fire. Fortunately, no injuries, but police say the property loss is significant. 23-year-old Shane Jernode of Lethbridge and 24-year-old Chris Van Meer of Tabor have been arrested. And a historic grain elevator south of Lethbridge was spared from flames over the weekend. This is the scene just outside of Sterling on Friday night. The annex building next to this 80-year-old granary caught fire around 5 o'clock Friday afternoon. Emergency crews from all across southern Alberta responded. RCMP blocked off roads from Highway 4 into Sterling. Several homes were evacuated as a precaution. Firefighters managed to get it under control before it spread to the elevator. We're told the granary was used to produce hemp. You may have seen dragons flying across Henderson Lake this weekend.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
The beat of the drums echoed throughout Henderson Lake as boats filled with up to 20 competitors sprinted to the finish line. More than 1,200 competitors manned the 63 dragon boats during the ATB Financial Lethbridge Rotary Dragon Boat Festival. Yesterday, teams competed for medals, but for most, it was all about camaraderie and friendship built.
It's a very friendly competition, I think. It's about spirit of both competition and sportsmanship at the same time. So since I've seen the end of every race, usually you'll hear one boat screaming to the other, cheer on our competitors, and when they're just doing the roundabout to go back to the docks, they're still very friendly with each other.
I think the best part of this competition for us has been all the dirty jokes that have flown around over the weekend. It's been a lot of fun.
It actually means community spirit. It has grown since they first started, and it's become more and more fun.
A portion of the funds raised will go towards future Lethbridge Rotary projects. It was raining candy in the streets of Coaldale this weekend. Hundreds of kids armed with plastic bags lined the curbs for this year's Settler Days Candy Parade, and they were certainly not disappointed. More than 3,000 pounds of candy rained down from passing floats. The annual weekend events also included a slow pitch tournament, petting zoo, hay rides, and a giant slip and slide. But for most children, the highlight was
level candy. The floats and the candy. I'm having candy. Eat all this candy. The floats and the candy. My favorite candy is the bubble gum. The mints. The candy and the fireman and the policeman.
Oh, that's cool. And how much candy are you going to eat today here?
All of it.
Okay. This is the 12th year the town has hosted the Cornerstone Candy Parade during Settler Days. Coming up, Dora's going to tell us more about the severe thunderstorm warning that's been in effect for most of the day and update us on the latest weather conditions when we come back.